episode 1000 of Down to Dunk. You can find us on The Athletic and anywhere else you subscribe to your podcast. Go to theathletic.com/down to dunk. Get The Athletic for $3.99 a month. I am Luke. Joined this morning by Andrew.
Slam through.
Taylor.
I only know 25 letters of the alphabet. I don't know why. Well, I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more just to be the man who walked up. Slam through.
And Dan.
It's Jay.
It is Jay.
It's Jay.
Are there 26 or 27 letters in the alphabet?
28.
They added Pluto. Okay. Episode 1000.
We did it.
It feels crazy to think about that we've done this 1,000 times.
1,000 years.
That is so wild to think about. We are going to talk a little bit about the Thunder, but then we're going to be reading emails and tweets and talking about the history of our show. So if you're somebody that's just tuning in for Thunder content, there's just going to be a little bit. And
Which is, if there's ever been a more perfect time to not really deal with the Thunder basketball team.
yeah,
Perfect.
this is the time.
1,000 episodes. Unbelievable.
1,000 memories.
More than that.
No. Not
So let's run through Tankathon real quick and look at the reverse
And they're
standings.
finishing third in the reverse standings.
I kind of agree. And they have a chance. Detroit won.
Detroit beat Memphis pretty handily, actually. Minnesota's been playing a lot better. They did lose the other night, which would have been far more helpful. I think they're going to jump those two. The issue, like I said, is Cleveland. Cleveland sucks, and they're right there, and they have a harder strength of schedule to finish than the Thunder do.
Yeah, they've lost 8 in a row.
The Thunder lost that game to the Kings. If there was one game that I thought that they were going to win over the course of this next week and a half, I thought it was going to be this last Kings game.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They almost tied it with Roby looking like Kevin Durant, but it didn't work. That three. Here's the deal: is I understand that I feel a little bit guilty about this, but whenever DeLon, is it DeLon Wright?
Yeah, DeLon Wright.
DeLon Wright made that reverse layup. I kind of did a small fist pump in my living room.
I did a massive fist pump in the Chesapeake Energy Arena.
Just making sure,
Yeah.
I feel bad, but
No.
at this point in the season, I'm not really looking for wins. I really haven't been doing that most of the season.
Yeah.
But definitely not at this point. Like, just let's lose out and get a shot at the number one. Like, if we have 14% chance at number one, like, let's do that.
Yeah.
Those 2 or 3 percentage points can change the fortunes of this entire team.
I'm going to bring in Michele.
Yes.
Hey.
Michele, what's up?
Oh, great. I mean, 1,000. Congrats, guys.
Drew.
Oh, you made him.
It's our first time, guys.
Keep talking, Michele.
Check. Can you hear me?
Michele's birthday earlier this week.
Yeah.
Turned 50.
Anybody got to guess? I actually don't know how old he is. So let's guess around the table.
54.
54, L-Man?
I bet he's 33.
33 for Michele. I'm going to say, I think he's somewhere between there. So let's go 30.
You think he's older?
35.
How old are his children?
I don't know the answer to that question. That would.
We don't know his age.
Yeah.
How old are the
I
people in
don't
his
know
life?
his age,
though?
but I know the age of his children.
But then that doesn't really help because we don't know when he would start. What's the word?
I think we've shared this story before, but Michele was doing kind of a world tour here in the United States. Gosh, what was this, 2.5 years ago or so? And
I think longer than that.
maybe
now,
3 or
too.
4. And he ended up on a Sunday afternoon, the 4 of us, Michele and Fred Katz, gathered at Andrew and Amy's house. And he made us like this incredible, like,
It was so good.
multi-course meal.
It was so good. I remember that
Try
was
now, Michele.
Let's try.
nothing.
Can you hear me?
okay. Hey.
Hey,
Hey,
Hey.
Michele, I have to tell the story.
We don't even know how old he is.
First of all, how old are you?
I heard the guesses, and neither Luke nor Jay are correct. But I mean, they are equally wrong.
Oh, but I might be correct.
So you're 34.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Taylor said 54. So
Yeah.
Are you
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love you too, Taylor.
So Michele, we started corresponding through Twitter. Like our first correspondence. He was just a very smart basketball mind, and I was just this kind of big dummy that had a podcast. And he started, messaging me with like good information about different players and stuff. I was like, oh. And then we started talking about the draft, and I had him on the show. And one of my more embarrassing pod moments, I called him Michelle for the first 3 episodes that he was on the pod. And he was too nice to correct me.
Oh, man.
And I'm calling him Michelle. And I'm like, and I went back to listen to it yesterday, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
Well, it happens all the time. Like every person I work with that is not Italian, the first guess is Michelle, which is, I mean, we hate France, so it's kind of disgusting, but that's you get used to it.
I still don't know. I still feel I want to call you Michele. So is Mikey your actual nickname, or is that just what your Twitter handle was?
No, it's I have been called like that since I was a kid, so I just stick to that.
So it's okay. Like if we call you Mikey.
Oh, of course. That
Taylor
works.
calls you the milkman.
I call you Milky because
I know.
when I see your Twitter handle, it looks like there's an extra line there to my brain. I call you Milky.
Oh, that's funny.
How you doing, man? How are you? So what's birthday week look like?
So far, well, I don't know. Bad. I worked like quite a lot this week. The party should be tomorrow, so I mean, so far normal week. But I mean, wife got me an incredible present, so that's not.
Yeah.
Hey, Mikey, do you remember the first couple episodes?
Oh, there he is. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, do you remember the first couple episodes with Andrew?
Oh yeah, the first one I was so nervous. I think we were discussing Doma's profile.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first ever podcast, and I remember we recorded it, and then I asked Andrew, "Is it okay? Is my English too bad?" It was bad, but he was so nice that to put it online, and yeah, that was quite some podcast. It was like 2016. Something like that.
I think it's 17.
17. Yeah.
Your English was never that bad.
Yeah, I was about to
and
say.
Also, to Americans, I feel like you just having an accent and talking about basketball in a smart way, what legitimized us.
I know
somehow.
people are like, wow, they actually know something about basketball.
Wow, this is a math professor from Italy.
And then we get on here and spend 20 minutes talking about diarrhea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. We're butt professors from Oklahoma.
Wow.
Anyway, can I tell my favorite memory about Dunk to Dunk on an episode that I was clearly not in? I was driving in a highway, and there was this fake trade episode, and it was the first time that Andrew did the Vlade Divac. It was so funny that I actually had to stop because I was afraid I was driving out of the road.
Was it Buddy Hield for DeMarcus Cousins?
Yeah, but then there was some Bondong talk, and it was so hilarious. I mean, it was one of my favorite episodes ever, and it was incredibly funny.
Oh man!
Can you do it once more for us, like the Bondong?
Yeah, can you?
Yeah. I could
Are you allowed to?
The boogie for the buddy?
The boogie for the buddy. I think you can do that.
Well,
I don't know.
The bone dong. That all the
that doesn't feel dangerous, I don't think.
yeah.
When he was here, or Mikey, when you were here and cooked for us last time, that was the last time I had a Dr. Pepper.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Is that true?
It was so good. I'm just reminiscing on how good it was.
Wow.
I was trying to remember some of that meal. So we had then we had like a gazpacho, and then we had I remember the beef tartare.
Yeah, that was good.
There was a mushroom dish.
Oh yeah.
Which was it was not a gazpacho. It was like a pumpkin with blue cheese and mushroom, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It was very, very, very good.
It was incredible.
Thank you.
You need to come back.
Thank you.
Yeah, when you come back,
make it again.
Yeah, it's I don't know. We can work it out whenever this pandemic.
Yeah, driving to Dallas or something.
Yeah.
Hey, Michele, I do have this question. When did you get into the NBA?
I mean, I was into European basketball since not very early. I would say I was 15. I started to follow basketball in my hometown. There is a professional basketball team, and so I started to get into that. And then I started to look into stats. And one of the coaches of this team that we have here said, well, you should really look into the draft. And he gave me books, he gave me films, and I started like that. And then from the draft, it went to because I mean, we were doing like scouting on prospect that could have been not in the NBA radar. And so they could come to Europe. And from there, I would say I started following Russell Westbrook because he was one of the guys that this coach told me, well, you should really look into Russ. He's the real deal of the draft. And it was before he was picked number 4. And so after that, I was all in. And when I went to Purdue for part of my PhD, I would just watch every single game of the Thunder for the first time. And from there, it's an everyday thing. Even this morning at 4:30 to watch the amazing game that OKC played against Golden State.
Oh God, that's just sad.
That's true dedication.
It's great. It's great. I mean,
what did you? So tell us. So have you already done After Dark?
Yeah, we did.
So give us, because we actually maybe should address the fact that we still are a Thunder podcast. So any like quick thoughts on last night's game?
I mean, I know that Alex already said everything possibly on Ty Jerome, but I couldn't agree more. He's a guy that will be useful in the coming years because he can space, he can play in pick and roll, and he's a great shooter. And I think that I was afraid, and with Andrew when we did the draft analysis on him, his athleticism was a huge question mark, and it still is. I mean, he's not an athlete, but I mean, he's not bad. He knows where to be defensively. And so when you see guys like that can take the ball and lead the second unit or play off the ball and just being so dangerous out of the 3-point line, that is something that OKC never had. I mean, almost never had. And so I really like to see him playing in this steady way. He's always a positive. I mean, yes, he had bad shooting night, but that happens. But if you look at the consistency, that is something extremely valuable. And even last night where like he had to play with Charlie Brown, and still he was able to produce and be extremely effective.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty much the bright spot, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I know that you like Moses Brown, so I mean that was a positive as well. No, it was bad.
Yeah, it's let me ask one more question. I know you all haven't maybe taken as much of a deep dive as you will. Any of the top 4 guys that you would be the most intrigued to see Oklahoma City get in this upcoming draft?
Yeah, I did close to nothing, but from where I'm at, I would go Cade number 1, of course, because it's Cade, and then to me, it's probably Suggs. I really love the way in which he plays. I know that the start potential is higher in other prospect. Maybe Mobley has a higher ceiling overall. Jalen Green probably as well. But the way in which he plays and the fact that he loves to play defense and he's an extremely good ball handler. He's creative with the ball. He's really good in pick and roll. I really think that he can play alongside Shea and be extremely successful. Maybe when I'll dedicate time to Jalen Green, that will change. With Mobley, I have huge question marks. Again, I have to get into the films because the lack of aggressiveness and the fact that sometimes he can disappear from games, that is a major concern. And so that is the things that I will look for when I'll try to watch films on Mobley in the coming weeks.
Awesome. All right, Michele. Thanks for coming on,
Thanks
man.
for joining us. Thanks for everything, man.
Thank you,
Happy
guys.
1000.
Happy 1000, Michele.
To you guys,
Hey.
you deserve all the credit. It's an amazing podcast, and to be you have been extremely consistent. Like, it's amazing. 1,000, 3 times a week. It's just incredible work, and so you all deserve this amazing achievement. I'm so happy for you guys.
Thank you for recognizing that. It takes a ton of preparation and work every week for us. Luke,
That's correct.
a lot of research goes into those deep dives and fickery dickeries.
That's right.
Yep.
All right.
Okay,
Michele,
guys,
we'll talk.
have to go.
Thanks, man. So it is funny, like he mentioned, I think the reason we're still here at 1,000 episodes is more because early on, and life was really what made this the reality, is the only time that we knew we could get together consistently was Friday mornings at 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't deviated since. Like, randomly we'll do night pods, and obviously during the quarantine and COVID stuff, like, we would shift up a little bit. But the reason we still are here and 1,000 episodes later, there's multiple reasons, but the primary one for me, in my opinion, is we chose 6 a.m. on Friday mornings to do our podcast.
And you know what? I hate it.
It's never gotten easier.
In fact, Luke, you took a break from it.
Had to take a break. I got 2 into karaoke, so I had to take a summer off.
It's true.
But I came back, not stronger than ever, but the same as I ever was.
Not stronger, but
Not stronger, more the same.
There's absolutely times where it was really hard.
Yeah,
We've
like
been doing
Taylor in this morning.
we've been doing it long enough to where, like, I've completely changed as far as my sleep habits. So now early is not a big deal, but especially those 9:30 Thursday games
I know
that on TNT that started at 9:45, and oh my gosh. But there's 2 things that I would attribute most of our longevity to. And number 1 is that. Number 2 is obviously the work that Andrew put in to produce and put out 3 podcasts a week.
I would.
That's true.
I would say it has more to do with, well, for me anyway, that I like you guys.
Yeah,
And
that helps.
I get to see you guys a whole lot,
That's
at
so
least every week.
it does help.
You're genuinely the guys I talk to. Like, if you consider text messaging kind of like communicating, which I do, like, you are the guys.
We're never
I talk
not
to.
in communication.
We're never
Yes.
not in communication.
true.
And
That's
it just so happens that because of Michele and Alex being in different time zones, like, at any point throughout the course of a night or day, you're going to possibly have a text message from this group.
It's absolutely right.
And
It's true.
90% of it is not basketball related.
Yeah.
Kind of. Luke almost bought a PS5 from someone.
Hey, that's my deep dive.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry about that. Okay, let's talk about. You want to talk about, like, the origin story of Down to Dunk and kind of go through it, because I've got drops and I wanted to release, like, the full length interview drops that I did with the players in the arena so that people could hear them. But Elman, do you want to start?
So how we started the podcast?
Uh-huh.
So at first, we started as a Bible study.
Yep.
It's true.
with Jay, me, Andrew, and our friend Jamie, and we would do that at, like, 6 a.m. on Fridays, and we were at Jimmy's Egg on
Hefner and
Rockwell.
Yep.
Yeah, and what we would do is we would go order our foods, talk about the Thunder for like an hour and a half, and then at the last 10 minutes, it'd be like, oh, Bible study. And then I think after like 4 or 5 days, I think it was Jay or someone said, hey, the conversations we have about Thunder are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, they're pretty good. We know a lot about the Thunder, not me, of course, but like Andrew and Jay know a lot about the Thunder. It's like, if we recorded this, I think people would listen to it, like as a podcast. And we're like, huh, well, that would be interesting. And so
So let me jump in real quick. So one of the things that happened is Andrew started it because he just reached out to me, Luke, and Jamie, which is kind of a random collection of guys about the Bible study. But at that point, so this is 2013, 2012.
It's the 12-13 season.
And so if you think about Thunder history going back, there were not really, to my knowledge, any Thunder specific podcasts. Podcasting wasn't gigantic.
There was one.
Point.
It was called Thunderground Radio.
There you go. And but there wasn't any, like, it wasn't the monstrosity that it is today as far as podcasting. Like the Basketball Jones was, if we could put this towards like 2 people, I guess technically 2 groups or 2 podcasts, is anybody that was a basketball fan around that time was a Bill Simmons podcast subscriber and then a subscriber to the Basketball Jones.
Yeah.
And if you followed us along the way, you know that really we kind of are out of the family tree in some sense of the Basketball
Zach
Jones.
Lowe.
Like the way those podcasts went is very similar to the field that we've kind of been going from. And so we ended up making the decision and I think it actually may have been Jamie that was the one that was like, but I know Andrew was the one that was really the podcast head. Like he was the one that was listening to those guys and actually got to meet him at Tree and Leaf. And
hey, I did too.
And Luke, you never know.
And did a pod with Trey Kirby like a few weeks ago, which is just so strange.
Yeah. And so we ended up making the decision we were going to just do a podcast. And we actually, who knows how this will all play out, but we ended up scrapping the Bible study and just started doing a podcast. And so we actually met at my church and just like this rundown classroom. Our first ever podcast was, we had Jamie brought a Yeti blue, which is like a orb. And that was the singular microphone for all of us in the room. And at that point, Luke had already disappeared. I think that's when.
I went to New York at that point.
Yeah.
And then quickly came back.
Yeah, hurricane brought him back. So anyway, we started doing that, and eventually, our good friend Justin lent us actually these microphones that are right here, and a little mixer, and we started putting podcasts together, and I mean, really, it was 6 a.m. on Fridays, and then I don't remember how long into that we invited Taylor to be a part of it.
It wasn't long.
I think it was maybe like episode 6 or something like that.
I think that's right.
It had maybe made it to. I was already listening to all of them and then texting you
because
guys.
The other thing is that our first podcast, we had like 6 listeners, and one of them was Taylor.
Yeah. I knew all of them separately from
Church
whatever
World, man.
Church camp, yeah.
And then they texted me. I think Andrew texted me or Jay did. I don't know. They're like, "Do you want to come be on the pod like maybe once or twice?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be awesome." By the way, I was 21, and so I was just like so stoked, my dude.
Well, but the funny thing about it though is I remember Taylor's kind of story with basketball was so funny because before the Thunder were here, Taylor really didn't watch basketball, care about basketball. The Thunder got here. He started to.
I went the first season. My dad forced us to go to a game because he got like corporate tickets, and it was the Lakers. And I watched Kobe in person, and that was why I got into it.
And I remember when Taylor went to college, because Taylor and I go back, his sophomore year in high school.
40 years?
30, yeah, super, super long time. But he started getting into basketball enough where he would go to parks in Edmond and play basketball by himself. Like he
or
just
with
got,
like the randoms that were there.
And he just got super into basketball. And so we were like, hey, let's
Started
invite
dunking.
Taylor to be a part of this because, he's a good personality and loves basketball. And I think if you were to throw a third thing that would attribute to the fact that we've been here for this long is the fact that there is not just a friendship that unites the 4 of us, and obviously Alex and Mikey is part of that. But also on top of that is, I think the dynamics between the four of us is just kind of worked out to where we have a little bit of everything, which I know for some people that listen to the podcast, it annoys them because it's like, we're not enough basketball centric. But I think it really is what makes it almost every single Friday just a blast to come and be a part.
Hey, those people that get annoyed by that, look at this camera.
Oh, Taylor.
Don't
Whoa,
worry.
man.
Don't worry.
Whoa, man. Oh, it's the wrong finger.
We made it to 1,000 in spite of you moron.
Yeah, we varied locations.
Oh, gosh.
We've been all over the place. We finally found our permanent home here.
Yep.
It's so good to have
podcast.
We've jumped around so many
Office.
places. When we were at Taylor's apartments,
I was in college and I lived in this terrible apartment. We had a snake in there.
oh my
It
god,
smelled like a snake.
Yeah.
There
We
were
were
whiskey
just-
bottles everywhere.
Oh yeah, it was that time in my life. And so they'd come over and there's like blankets all over the place. I'm like, hey guys, come on in my room.
there
I have
were
to like
no-
throw my clothes
there were
somewhere
no
else.
lights.
Every single
No
morning
lights.
we'd have to wake Taylor up.
Yeah, I'd wake up, brush my teeth while they were in my room. That was great.
In
I-
your bedroom, we
Really
recorded.
good.
the
You know
podcast.
what? That was way better for me. Very strange for you, fully grown, responsible adults, to be coming to that place every Friday at 6 a.m.
It's without question the most memorable location of
Really?
podcast. Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
cool.
for sure.
Like
Glad
you,
I could provide
you know how
that.
trauma has the ability to stay in your memory far longer.
Yeah,
Yeah. So similar kind
I
of
felt
experience.
actively unsafe.
Okay, do
Yeah.
you guys remember this guy called Gert? Or we called him Gert.
Steven Gertz.
Yeah, Steven Gertz. Okay. He
Yeah.
had us on a website or he had us on a podcast one time and played a
From
game with
Cleveland,
us
right?
from
Yeah.
Cleveland and was playing a game with us in my room.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, I'm going to name a jersey number. I'm going to say a jersey number and you guys name all the like stars attributed to that number. And we were so bad at it.
Yeah.
None of us, he would say one, he'd say Derrick Rose, and we had nothing else.
It was
And then
the
he started
worst
making
podcast
fun of
ever.
us. Yeah, it was really awkward. It was really bad. He goes,
I wasn't at that one, I don't think.
"Oh yeah, of
I don't
course,
think I
of
was
course, you
there.
take yourself
on
away
Skype.
from that."
I think it was just you and me.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind, Jay. My apologies.
Well, it's okay. That's why y'all did so poorly, because I am a numbers guy.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Fast forward a little bit. We went to our very first media day. It was me and Luke.
Yes, it was.
So we went.
What year is this?
This was 2014.
I can't believe you were able to go in 2014.
Yeah.
Even
Oh,
that seems
It was
like
because of your
early.
relationship with Daily Thunder at that point.
Yes. I think we had just started with Daily Thunder. And by the way, like huge shouts to Royce for helping us out through the years and letting us be on Daily Thunder. I emailed him probably 1 billion times. Oh, we talked about begging a few weeks ago. I
That
begged
was-
to get on Daily Thunder.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, Luke and I, we do the media day stuff. It was really cool. We walk out and Mitch McGarry's sitting in a chair in the hallway by himself. And I'm like, let's go ask Mitch McGarry to do the introduction to our podcast. I'm like, great. And so we walked up to him and this is what he said.
The Down to Dunk podcast.
That's it.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
Oh, it's going?
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
This is Mitch McGarry, and you're listening to Down to Dunk the Down to Dunk podcast.
That's it.
I'm Mitch McGarry, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and you're listening to the Down to Dunk podcast. Go Thunder.
Love it, dude. That's
Awesome.
Thank you.
Sorry, it's kind of slow. You want me to do it again?
Let's try.
This is Mitch McGarry of the Oklahoma City Thunder, and you're listening to the Down to Dunk podcast.
And that's when we should have known.
We were so nervous
We were
at that
so-
first
I mean,
media
he
day.
sounded more nervous. He said, "Down to dunk cock, down to what?"
Oh man.
Yeah, we should have known about Mitch.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
little warning sign from Mitch.
But media day, it's number one, and we were actually talking about this. I think Alex was the one that was talking about this on the podcast. It's like
Mhm.
the fact that the L Man was at media day is still
It's awesome.
Is still
It's so
incredible.
awesome.
Wild one.
It was so scary because like you get to be so close to like the players and they're right there.
Mhm.
And like we were just like we didn't ask any questions. We were
Mm-mm.
super nervous. And it was just like, there's Mitch McGarry. It's like, should we talk to him? Yes. we should. Okay, you talk to him. It's like, no, you talk to him. It's like, then we just kind of both just wandered up to him, like, hey,
Hey, man.
okay, talk about our pod. Like,
And he's
do
just
the
like,
intro.
hey, guys. You know?
And what you see with that is like every media day, you can kind of see Andrew's like meteoric rise in the Thunder press world, because it became kind of Andrew's thing was to collect all of these intros from all of these different players. And it started with Mitch McGarry. And then was it the next season? No, it'd have been 17.
Yeah, I think
No, it'd have been the fall of 16 was the year that like you really like hit the stride, and that's the Ennis Cantor, Steven Adams banter.
I think I have it queued up.
Ready? Okay. This is Steven Adams.
And this is Kevin.
Kevin Durant. You're Kevin Durant, mate. Good to see you, mate. Different complexion.
Okay, let's go together.
So this is Steven Adams.
And this is Ennis Cantor.
You're listening to the Down to Earth,
Down to Dunk podcast.
Down to Dunk.
Down to Dunk.
I'll say that.
Dunk podcast.
Okay,
Yes.
you introduce me, and then and I'll say you're listening to Down to Dunk podcast.
Here's Steven Adams.
No, you and yourself.
Oh, here's Steven Adams, and I'm Ennis Cantor.
Okay, do that again. Okay.
There's Steven Adams, and I'm Ennis Cantor.
And you're listening to Down to Dunk podcast.
Stay tuned.
I think this is glory.
There, like I'm fucking downtown. Oh,
I'm sorry, explicit.
like there's fucking.
Let's do last
Steven.
time. One more time. Last time.
Okay, go.
Here's Steven Adams. Oh, bummer. I forgot. Wait, last time. I forgot.
Yeah, introduce yourself, mate.
Here's Steven Adams, and I'm Ennis Cantor.
And you're listening to Down to Dunk podcast.
Stay tuned.
I think that's the first time
That's
it's
good
ever been released in its entirety.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the story is I was just waiting in the hallway for Steven. I just was standing out there. I was with Carson Cunningham, and Adam Kemp was standing out there too. And I was just my only goal was to get Steven. That's all I wanted. And I get Steven. I ask him if he'd do it. He's like, yeah. And then Ennis starts walking by, and he grabs Ennis and pulls him in. He said, hey, do this with me. And I was just like, yes. It was so incredible. And then the next season I go and chase Steven down again. I get definitely not as good, but this is
there an explicit warning on this one?
Anything with Steven is the F-bomb. So yeah, if you're listening with children, earmuffs.
We're going to the segment back there.
We can say it. Okay. Say, this is Steven Adams, and you can't be miffed and peeved because you're listening to Down to Dunk. Yeah, we do a segment called Miffed and Peeved where we talk about things we're mad about.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 minutes and we'll go in that room.
What's that?
Say,
Miffed and peeved.
miffed and peeved, that's a way of saying like you're angry or you're mad.
Don't be miffed and peeved.
Miffed. Don't be miffed and peeved because you're listening to Down to Dunk.
And I know what the words are. There's not ones I need.
Miffed and peeved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you had to sit for like 30 minutes to wait to go in, I'm miffed right now. No. I know it. It's a real world. It's a real.
It's real.
I don't.
It's a real one?
I don't use it, but it's
Not in your vocab?
No. Actually, I just made it up.
You just made it up.
Surprise.
Miffed.
Caleb Rhodes on it. New word.
Right, what was
So, say, this is Steven Adams,
Yeah.
and you can't be miffed and peeved because you're listening to Down to Dunk.
Down to Dunk.
Yes.
This is Steven Adams. Don't be miffed and peeved. No, you can't be miffed and peeved. All right. This is Steven Adams. You can't be miffed and peeved because you're listening to Down to Dunk.
So I'm chasing him through the hallway. He's got this Thunder media member, or not media member, a PR with him. And they're like on this strict schedule of like, they've got to talk to these different radio stations. They got to take pictures. They got to do all this stuff. And I'm just grabbing them in between. And we're in this hall, like it's literally a dark hallway. And I feel like I have to be quiet because he's like, here, just walk. And you can hear him at the beginning, like walk and talk. Like he's awesome. Like he was so great because he could have just been like, screw you, man. No way. Like, I don't have time for this. And he's like, come on, like, come with me. Which was really, really cool.
That's phenomenal. Was that the same one where you asked Russ to record something? Or was that a
No,
different
that was the next year.
Uh-huh.
And let me play. So this was the first year that I've got multiple players, aside from the Steven and Ennis one. So the first one, Alex Abrinas.
Yes.
Ooh, yes.
So here's the full Alex Abrinas.
So what did I gotta say?
Yeah,
Hello, I'm Alex Abrinas.
Yes. I'm not miffed
I'm
and
not
peeved.
miffed and peeved.
I'm down to dunk.
I'm down to dunk.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Alex Abrinas. I'm not miffed and piffed. I'm about to dunk. I'm down to dunk. Hello, I'm Alex Abrinas. I'm not miffed and piffed. Down. Ah, shit.
It's okay.
It's hard. If I understand it,
I don't.
I'm not.
I'm down to dunk.
I'm down to
I'm
dunk.
down to dunk.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, I'm Alex Abrinas. I'm not miffed and piffed. I'm down to dunk.
Perfect.
Nice.
Okay, we gotta go.
Thank
Got
you.
it.
Appreciate
Is he
it.
the one that said nice?
Yeah. He goes, nice.
So what are these PR people doing whenever you're doing
They
this?
don't know what to do.
They're
honestly.
saying you don't have to do this.
Yes.
You do not have to do this.
Yes. Yes. That Abrinas one, she was like, no, Alex, you are not required to do this. You don't need to do
Because
this.
there are some things that are required to do
Yes.
throughout the day.
And this is not one.
I miss Alex Abrinas, man.
I know. He was great. He was a joy.
What's funny about that is I was actually on Twitter the other day and somebody was talking about Svi Mihalik and whenever he had that apparently just gigantic dunk.
Yeah.
And somebody, I don't know who they are, but they said, because I searched Svi because I was trying to find the interview where Taylor was talking about how he talked and how he was just surprised how he talked. And so speaking of incredible text threads, but it was one of those things where I looked up Svi and just the mentions and it showed up in this guy that says, "Hi, I'm Svi Mihalik and I'm about to dunk." It was like,
oh, really?
Yes. It was like it made it into the like.
That's hilarious.
I like how we used the one time he said it wrong. That's the one.
I know. It's like, no, we're not using the real one. We're going to use you about.
I laughed so hard in my truck the whole way
It's
home
so
about I'm about to dunk.
I'm about to dunk.
Oh my gosh, I listened to it over and over.
That
I
is
just
so funny.
was dying. This is the one that I felt the coolest by far. So this is Paul George, and I'm down to dunk.
Yo, this PG, and I'm down to dunk. Yes, sir.
Thanks, PG. I was just like, oh my gosh, like he did it, and he did it really cool, a lot cooler than I could have ever said it. I was like, great. He was great.
Was that same year that Andre Robertson said, "I'm about to dunk on you"?
So this is the next year that he said that.
God, I wish PG could have had that level of confidence in the first round against Utah.
No
Jazz.
kidding. I know. Yeah, Paul was great, and then that's after that one. I was looking for Russell, and that's when I saw Russell was right after I got Paul, and so I jetted over to Russ, and I was like almost using it as like, hey, Paul has done this. You know, I've gotten Steven to do it. You know, will you do the intro to the podcast? And he just looked at me and he just stood there and he looked around. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to die. Like I am, this is just,
How intimidating is
this
this?
is just not going to work out for me. And he goes, maybe. And he starts walking off and I'm like, you jerk. I didn't say you jerk, I said it in my head. And then I was like, hey, Russ, if you want to say no, just go ahead and say no, which was really stupid. I was just like mad that he gave me that answer. And he turns back and he gets real close to me, which seems weird in like in our COVID world we live in now. But Russ got real close to me and he goes, hey, you know me, right? Yeah, I guess. I don't know. If I'm gonna say no, I'd say no. It's like, okay, well, we could do the intro to my podcast. And he's like, maybe, and walks off.
Such a power move.
I tried to get his attention so many times the rest of the day, and he would just turn his head and just walk off, like knew that I was coming.
That's awesome, man.
To try to get him to do it, and he was actively working against
Did he
me.
meet you? Did he remember meeting you in the Sonic line at Will Rogers National World Airport?
Yeah. Hey, do you remember? Yeah. We met years ago. You were on crutches.
You know what though? You're the only person that would have tried that hard. I
mean,
think any of the rest of us, he said maybe and walk away. We're like, okay, cool.
Number one, I'm telling you, I would have never asked him.
Yeah, you would have been too scared.
Oh, absolutely. I would have just been like sitting in the corner, like, this is why you send the L Man and Andrew to media day.
Yeah,
That's right. This is Steven from. This must be that year.
I'm not miffed and peed.
You're not miffed and peeved. Yeah, we've been over this before.
What's miffed and peed?
Miffed and peeved. It's like you're mad.
Oh,
We've been
miffed
over
and
this.
peeved. Yes,
Yes.
All right. I'm Stephen Adams. This is Down to Doug. I'm miffed and peeved. That's not the words. What do I say?
I remember this from last year.
Yeah.
I was with you last
Yeah, I'm miffed and
I'm
peeved.
Stephen Adams. I'm not miffed and peeved. I'm down to dunk.
Yeah. I'm Steven Adams. I'm not miffed and peeved. I am down to dunk.
He said miffed and peeved every single time on that. So good. He was so funny.
So good.
And then the following season, I guess that was PG's second season. For some reason, one of my big regrets is not getting Melo. Because he would have done it.
Yeah.
And two, it would have been really cool.
Yeah.
But that media day was different because they had just traded for Melo and they were
trying to pump that as like, this is the big three.
I think I only saw Melo once that whole day, and they were walking down the hallway together, and I was just trying to get a picture of them because they were all wearing their jerseys and they're walking down the hall together. It was like, holy crap. Like, how is this happening in Oklahoma City?
Do you have any more intros queued up?
Yeah. So this is the post. This is last season's. So this is Darius Baisley.
Would you help me with the intro to our podcast? Yeah, we can keep moving. Yeah. Would you mind saying, I'm Darius Baisley and I'm down to dunk?
Okay. I'm Darius Baisley and I'm down to dunk.
Okay. Did you catch yourself a big old bass yesterday?
So I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
But I was pretty excited when I caught it. That was my first time ever fishing.
Did you catch something?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
I don't know what it was. It's on my Instagram live. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's a bass because I think like bass are like pretty big.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say that, but I did catch something.
Well, I saw your Instagram post.
Yeah, I caught something.
Yeah. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you catch yourself a big old bass?
My guy. This is my guy right there. Yeah, this is me becoming a monster. This is bad.
Here's SGA, who we didn't really know much about him, but
Shay, how you doing? My name's Andrew. I'm with a podcast called Down to Dunk, and we're doing.
We have to go.
Can I walk with you real quick?
Every time it's like
so
these people like,
I'm
please
asking players
get
to
away.
say we're doing an introduction to our podcast. You could say, I'm Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and I'm down to dunk.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, quite boring. And then here's Chris Paul.
Just say, like you say, I'm Chris Paul, and I'm down to dunk.
Okay. All right. I'm Chris Paul, and I'm down to dunk.
Perfect. I think that's all I got. But Chris was great. Like, I walked up, Chris like turned around, like shook my hand, like
It's like a politician.
Yeah.
Like he just
It really
makes sure
was.
that you know that he thinks you're valued. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really crazy because like the experience between the 2 point guards in back-to-back years was quite different.
Slightly contrasting.
So here's Dort. We told this story before on the show, but the whole media day, Royce and I were giggling about getting him to say down to Dort. And because we weren't in like the media like interview room, we were just standing out just trying to talk to the players. And so here's Lou Dort. At the time, Lou Dort was nothing. Like he was a two-way player, undrafted, hadn't played a minute in the NBA.
I'm Andrew. I'm with a local podcast called Down to Dunk. And I'm asking players to say, like your name, say, I'm Lou Dort and I'm down to dunk. Could you do that for me? Okay.
I'm Lou Dort and I'm down to dunk.
Awesome. Could you say, I'm down to Dort?
Yeah.
Okay.
My name first?
Yeah.
I'm Lou Dort and I'm down. What?
It's okay.
I'm Lou Dort and I'm down to Dort. I'm Lou Dort and I'm down to Dort.
Yes. Thank you.
Which makes it for me now knowing who he has become, it makes it even sweeter to me.
I know.
Like he's just an undrafted free agent at that point.
He's just a dude walking around. Like maybe people will ask him questions, and
maybe his teammates know who he is. Maybe they don't.
Speaking of,
Hey, Steven. I'm Andrew. You've done the Down to Dunk intro for us several years.
Oh, that's your fucking intro, isn't it?
Yes.
Come on, mate.
Okay, so you just say, I'm Steven Adams and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Steven Adams and I'm down to dunk.
Would you say, I'm Steven Adams and I'm down to Dort?
Down? What the fuck's Dort? What's Dort?
Well, I got Lugan's Dort to say I'm down to Dort, and I think it's really funny.
What's Dort?
That's his last name. And it's just,
Who?
it's a player on the team.
Who's
Lugan's Dort?
Oh, Lou Dort.
Lou Dort.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of what fuck daughters, like a fucking. I was like, that ain't English, bro. Like, fuck. Yeah, fuck it up. No, I'll just say dumb duck.
Okay.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, not doing that. And then the last few. Here's Gallo. I don't think Gallo was.
I'm asking players just to say, hey, I'm Danilo Gallinari, and I'm down to dunk. Could you do that for me?
Hey, I'm Danilo Gallinari, and I'm down to dunk.
Perfect. Thank you.
So smooth.
He was great. He was awesome.
Hey, Hami.
Yeah.
My name's Andrew. I do a local Thunder podcast.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. It's called Down to Dunk, and I'm asking players to say their name, and then I'm down to dunk. So, like, I'm Hamidou Diallo, and I'm down to dunk.
Okay. I'm Hamidou Diallo, and I'm down to dunk.
Perfect.
Thank you. I don't know if you could hear it. I slapped him on the shoulder, and I think
You did.
And you could hear it
Yeah,
there at
I
the end
heard
if
it.
you're really listening. And also,
He said 5-star and then ran away.
And then he introduced himself to me. I don't know if you could hear that. He was like, I was like, hey, I'm Andrew. He's like, hi, my name is Hami. Nice to meet you.
That was like so proper.
Oh, that's very nice. And then Deontay, my guy.
Hey, Deontay. My name's Andrew. I do a local podcast called Down to Dunk.
Okay.
And I'm asking players to say their name and I'm down to dunk. So if you could say, I'm Deontay Burden and I'm down to dunk.
I got you.
Okay.
Just I'm Deontay Burden.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Deontay Burden, and I'm down to dunk.
So good.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
And that's it, because the rest was in a pandemic world.
I if I can do my deep dive real quick, I've been recently talking to a Thunder player.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
I don't have the music queued
It's okay.
up.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, just go ahead.
For my deep dive, several people got in because I posted the other day. I was like, hey, I really want a PlayStation 5, and I was like, I've come to terms with the fact that I'm never going to get one because they're very hard to find. You have to get them on you can't go to Walmart and find them. Or go to Target and find them. You have to go online and do them. It's not my top priority. It's probably not one of the top 10 priorities of my life, and so I'm not very good at doing it. So I've put it on there on Twitter. I was like, I'm never going to get it. So then yesterday, a bunch of people were like, hey, Perry Jones III is selling PlayStation 5s, and he had put a tweet out there saying, hey, I have PlayStation 5s for sale. So yesterday I spent the bulk of my day conversing with Perry Jones III on Twitter.
Like DM?
Through the DM, trying to buy a
What did he
PlayStation
say?
5.
What made you not want to do it?
Here's the thing that is he was selling them for $450. There are two types of PlayStation 5. One doesn't have a disc drive, and it's all online, so you download all the games. It's not the one I want because then I can't use my old games and play my old games.
Yeah.
One has a disc drive, and you can do that. So the non-disc drive one is I think $450. The disc drive one is $500.
Oh.
He says, well, I have both. And he's selling both for $450. One that doesn't really make sense.
Huh.
You would charge more for one than the other. The second, they're selling on eBay right now for $1,200.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this doesn't make any sense.
Think Perry Jones is out there conning people?
I don't know. I hope he's not a scammer.
I hope so.
But I was just like, I'm not going to do this. I don't feel comfortable enough to do this, and so I'm not doing it. But it was just so weird, and
it is really weird.
Yeah, and there was some other stuff about it that I was like, just a little
This doesn't
weirded
feel
out
right,
about.
yeah.
The other ththing he was like, one of his tweets before the thing was just like, "Hey, who out there wants an Amazon or a Hulu account or an Amazon account or something?"
What?
And it was like, what is going on?
Has somebody hacked his account?
I don't know. I don't think so. But
he's not making moves, man.
He's just making moves, but not with me. So that's my deep dive.
We can have Al Baby Cakes on the pod.
Hey,
what's up?
What's up, Debbie? What's up, Deborah? Hey, Deborah, what you wearing?
This is why you aren't on the Fry Pod.
It would just be Taylor and Luke and me because I probably seem pretty calm on the Wednesday pod, but if I was with Taylor and Luke every week, people would quickly come to hate me as much as they don't like Luke and Taylor.
That's right. That's
Absolutely right.
So I'm glad that you're able to join. One, because you're great, and then two, I received so many emails and messages from people, and a constant message that I got was about the trivia show and how it helped bring people through that like really dark time of the pandemic. And it was a fun thing for us, and it was really cool, and you put a ton of work into it. But like, I'm gonna read some emails from people, if that's okay.
Yeah,
let's read some emails.
I'm gonna read some emails. Some of these are really long.
To the emails.
So here we go. So this is from Linda Thompson, PhD. She said,
"Oh, doctors, listen to us."
Although we have never met, I feel like you and the other DTDers, but especially you, are part of my family.
Ooh.
As I welcome you into my life 3 times a week. In general, Monday pods are my favorite. I'm a scientist, and I like Mikey's nerdy mathematical statistical approach to basketball. Plus, his accent is charming and his takes on American cheeses and other foods is hilarious. My second favorite day is Wednesday with Al Baby Cakes. He is a creative genius and is so funny. She said, I know I'm suffering from recency bias, but I especially appreciated how DTD kept us entertained during the basketballist part of the pandemic. Those were the dark days. Al's trivia contest that went season by season and pitted the Friday guys against each other was fabulous. I could hardly wait for each week's episode. And then she said that she's loving Slam and Jam too.
And I don't think much of the Friday pod.
In fact,
what Alex was able to do with the guys from the Friday pod was incredible.
Not mention you guys. I cannot wait till the pandemic is over and you guys can create a live intro next season with all of the new guys saying, I'm blank and I'm down to dunk or down to Dort. At next year's media day. I greatly miss the Steven Adams intros. Keep up the good work. I'm so happy for you that you found a way to make a living doing what you love. My career is much the same way. I love being a scientist. It's never a dull moment. I'm always learning something new. Congrats on
she's not even going to hear that we read her email on this episode because she doesn't listen.
Because she hates us.
That's exactly right.
Thanks, Linda.
There is one that I have to read. It is.
That's sweet. Thank you for that.
Yo, Alex, you Pokemon snapping?
Very nice.
Hey, Alex, what's up?
Okay, so so I get these messages from time to time from people, and it's always really kind of shocking to me. The impact that our show can make on people. So here's Josiah. He said, I wanted to write a quick note for you guys to express what you all at the Down to Dunk podcast mean to me. I've been a listener for 5 years now. The podcast has taken a much larger role in my life. Without getting into much detail, the pandemic has caused some very difficult moments for me. My life is completely uprooted and changed in ways that have resulted in hard times. So through the hardest times, this podcast has been a steady rock for me. I remember days when the only thing I ever felt like that gave me any sort of excitement was listening to the newest episode of the Thunder Trivia with Alex. So he goes into more detail about it. He talks about meatloaf and cereal and all that stuff. And then he writes a note to each of the Fry Pod guys. He said, Andrew, seeing you at the Athletic, kicking ass and living your dream makes me so happy. I still can't believe I get to listen to you talk to people like Sam Vecini and Kendrick Perkins. Your success feels like every Down to Dunk listener's success.
Yeah.
To Jay, you and your faith have been a shining light to me. I've had tough experiences with the church, but knowing someone like you as a pastor gives me hope for Christianity.
Wow.
If I'm ever in OKC, I hope to come to your church service and hear you speak. To Taylor, you bring so much charm to the show. Some of my favorite moments are when you say something wildly inappropriate and there's an awkward pause before Jay allows himself to laugh at it. I hope that Gabriel Deck sticks out on the team so you have plenty of content for jokes.
Sticks out.
And this is definitely. And then to Luke, his first sentence to you is, I don't watch the games either.
There you go.
He said, at least these days I don't. The way you are so unabashedly unashamedly yourself is inspiring. Whether it's completely forgetting to plan out a Luke's deep dive and not telling anyone until the bit has literally already started while recording, or recording pods on your phone in front of a camera because you don't have a laptop, you really don't give a bleep what anybody thinks. And I really appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
That was like one of my favorite emails.
I like that a lot.
I loved that.
Luke, you're so inspiring how you don't give a damn about something you've been so committed to.
That's how it goes.
I'll tell you, and there's multiple people that mentioned this, and I know you may read another one, but in hindsight, particularly is looking back at that, because that was midsummer, right? Weren't we in June, July doing those trivia shows?
I think it was earlier.
Yeah, it was like May, June.
Yeah.
April, May, June.
I think about that because it really was kind of in the middle of just all of the hardship, and it, we obviously it extended for many, many months after that. But I remember myself looking forward to them until they started happening.
Yeah,
I looked until the first 10 minutes. I was so excited about those podcasts because it was something to look forward to regularly.
Yeah.
And then I hated them
because
we got trounced. The top 3-man weavers.
Yeah, it didn't take long before I really had to start talking to Jay to be like, Jay, dude, please try. Okay, don't give up. Yeah, you gotta try. Please try.
And I just remember I was so tired. And part of that, in hindsight, you look back and you're like, it wasn't necessarily physical exhaustion, although they would go pretty late.
Yeah.
But it was more
coming down
exhaustion of the whole season, man. That whole season, not basketball season, but the season of life. And so listening to him just address the reality of how heavy this season was, I think that it's easy for us to forget that. And Alex, just to give you just the props that you deserve, the work that you put into that. And we still see it so clearly evident on Saturday Slam and Jam.
Yep.
And it's why you are being successful the way you are is the fact that you put that work in. But it really was. It was a bright spot in a pretty dark season for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so
that was probably the most common message I got was talking about moments, and then that one was probably 40 to 50%.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought that as the pandemic started in March of 2020, that we would have been pulled through by the L train?
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Choo Choo.
Someone brought up when Luke. By the way, Jay and I both thought Luke was cheating the entire time.
I was still think that.
I wasn't.
He would just
still think he
disappear
probably
because
was.
this was in the point in Luke's life where he was podcasting from his phone, where he almost got fired from the podcast. He was podcasting from his phone, and he had to click over and click back on and click back over, and where to see. He's just looking up the answers.
I'm not. Well, I was not. I promise.
But my favorite part was the question about the Infinity Stones, and then when we all realized that he was looking at his own hand, imagining he was wearing a glove to count the stones.
That's so good. I really like that, Alex, when you said, I've had a bunch of unused Star Wars ones, and Andrew had step away for a second to put his kids to bed or something.
It was midnight. Amy was asleep. Arden woke up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go get him and go put him back to bed. It'll take 10 minutes. It took 45 minutes.
Yeah. And I was just Alex, just ask me the Star Wars questions. And I thought that was so funny.
I released it as a mini episode.
I know. I really liked it.
We would do those recordings. They would take two and a half hours.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I'd edit it down to an hour. It took forever to go through all of that.
My wife would be like, my wife.
Why?
She would be like, you were on that for is this what you're gonna do? And I was like, at that point, what else are we doing?
What else are we gonna do?
Yeah. What else are we doing?
Yeah. Here's another email. I don't know if I'm gonna cry when I read this, but I might. So be aware.
Oh, jeez.
This is another just things you wouldn't think. You're making a show about basketball, you just don't think about anything like this. This is from Zach. He says, I live in Utah and my grandparents live in Oklahoma. Since 2014, my grandma and I would listen to each Down to Dunk episode together. And then we would laugh and text each other about Thunder basketball and Andrew's broken appliances. It might sound crazy because of your podcast. Y'all helped us become closer and to share great memories together. This past year, she died from ovarian cancer. And now every time I listen to the pod, I can't help but feel that we're still listening together. Through the highs and lows, you've been a constant in my life that is bigger than basketball. I thought that now was as good a time as any to say thank you for continuing to make so much more, to make this so much more than a regular podcast. It feels like a family. I love you guys. And remember, I'm Alex Abrinas and I'm about to dunk. But like when I read that, like I cried.
Awesome.
Like I legitimately cried because I just can't, I don't know. You just don't think about, impact you're having. I just think about like, man, somebody's going to hate that day. But
well, I think there's been days along this journey where it just has felt, because a lot of us can actually listen to the people that are going to be more negative or have problems, and it's easy to listen to those voices above the voices of people who value you or do that. And so to hear these messages it's incredibly encouraging, and also, like, in hindsight, embarrassing for some of the ways that I can imagine a grandmother listening to any of the things.
That's what I was just about to text y'all. Also, can we go through the list of all of our haters that we outlasted and give them a big F you?
God, yeah, the haters.
Like this moment would be one of those moments that I would be not excited if my grandma.
What was it called? Pressy's Neighborhood? Mr. Pressy.
You're really gonna do it.
Morons.
You're really
Where are you? Where are you?
Man.
Let's do the opposite. Let's go through and let's actually like shout out people that have helped us.
Our
along the way.
lovers.
So
yeah, thank you to all the haters.
Number one, I think he was on episode 5.
Eddie
maybe?
Radosevich.
Eddie Radosevich, who's on the franchise morning show now, was our first guest ever.
One of the best Oklahoma social media presences.
Oh yeah, he's the best. Eddie and I have been friends since we were in like the 2nd grade. So it's just funny.
Carson Cunningham.
Carson Cunningham was next. So Carson came on because he followed Eddie on Twitter and saw our podcast. Oh man,
you have to call in.
Feels like you should quit your job.
Yeah, quit your job, bro. What's more important?
I gotta go to work.
All right,
but
Luke,
hey, it's been a great 1,000 episodes.
Luke, I wanted to say something really serious to you.
Shut up.
I think
stop.
You
Stop. Stop. I'm not ready.
Are you ready now?
I can't believe how many times we had to wake you up when we did the podcast at your house. Sure, I knocked on your bedroom window one time.
Yeah, that's how I woke up, man.
Yeah,
and I just wanted to say that. So
that's good.
I hope you hear that.
That's why.
You remember when you brushed your teeth and went to the bathroom on the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah. One time you took a poop with the door open and we were there.
That didn't happen. Taylor's
who else? So you got Brian Keating also
down.
from KOCO.
Brian Keating came on.
Was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a while there where we were bringing in like national guys, and so we had David Thorpe on from True Hoop, Amin El Hassam, who's if you're part of the Metal Arc media kind of group or listening to any of them, he's just even bigger now, and it just makes me every time I listen to him like I can't believe he's on the podcast.
Yeah, I know.
So we got an email from D Tally, who has been a listener since
long
forever.
time.
He sent us he screenshotted a tweet that it was from December 12th of 2013 that he sent over that said, sometimes you should allow fans to send non-true or false questions. I know you have a sweet true or false drop, but at times I want to ask more open-ended questions. One of our first segments was just true or false.
It was?
Yeah.
I don't even remember that.
Me neither.
That was early on, and I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe have more open-ended questions.
What are some of the old segments that have gone away?
So one of the first ones was perk tweets. Luke would read Kendrick Perkins' tweets.
Yeah. We also did that with Hashim though, because we would yell it.
Whose look you digging?
Whose looks are you digging?
Yeah,
Was
that
another
needed to go.
Yeah.
Say what stat?
Say what stat needed to go.
Top 5 power rankings we did.
Yeah, top 5 power rankings was good. That drop is Luke singing top 5 power rankings to the tune of Go Go
Mighty-
Power Rangers.
Yeah, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
And it was a really long drop. And I got so many tweets from people saying, like, that is the most annoying thing I've ever heard. Like you should never play that ever. I will stop listening to your podcast because of that.
But now it's Tayshawn's factoid fickery dickory.
I know, but I kept it shorter, so it can't get you too much.
And this is a little backstory on that. So Dustin Ragland is a musician here in Oklahoma City and a professor at the ACM, thing that UCO has, and also just incredible dude. And so we went over to his house, and this is before Andrew really got into the producing side of it. And so we went over there and did the old intro, and then we did a bunch of those drops. And so it was a really fun time just sitting in his little studio.
Did like 10 things that we used for years at that one evening.
Luke sitting in a booth just screaming.
It was really good.
Alex, when did you start being a part of what Down the Dunk was doing? How long have we been doing Wednesday pods with you?
The first one was, I just looked it up, January 16th, 2018. So it was middle of the OK3 year. The Thunder were 24-20. I actually listened to the beginning of the pod to try to remember when it was.
Was it fun? Not the pod that season.
No, I think that was right around the fun discussion. I think. Because they were 24-20, and that was the big mellow year. So we were all really down, I think. But yeah, I had been on the show previously, just when I would be in town, I would show up.
Right. Yeah, you come to like the Fry Pod or whatever whenever you could.
I thought I remembered you doing podcasts with Andrew for a short time, though, earlier.
So before that, we did a podcast for Vantage Sports.
Oh, that's right. That's what it was.
Which was like a online statistical database.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, it had to have been some of the most boring podcasts ever made, because literally we would just talk about the stats that honestly we didn't have a great grasp of.
Bro, I know. Yeah, that's so true. It's like, what were we doing? It was fun.
The podcast was explaining to each other what you think this stat might mean.
We never even had like anyone on that could have told us, and like I feel like Vantage Sports should have been like, "Hey, here's a glossary, guys. you can refer to this."
I forgot about that.
So just using context clues, I think this stat is referring to this.
We also, what other podcast networks were we a part of? We were obviously a part of Daily Thunder.
We were on Welcome to Loud City.
Yeah.
That was like our first landing spot was Welcome to Loud City.
That's true. They were great to us.
Daily Thunder, and then
I feel like it's important also to maybe shout out Nick, who's now at Lively Beer Works.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, Nick
was one of our first sponsors. He worked at a rival beer company here in Oklahoma City, and so we won't mention them. But we just had a lot of chances to be a part of a lot of cool things here in the city. I mean, the Mule, Anchor Down, and part of that's the relationship we have with Joey. And
Anchor Down was really fun.
The most fun I've ever had at a live pod.
It's our first one.
Second one.
I was so nervous.
That was high, and then Banquet Cinema. The Banquet
Cinema Pub was
for the draft
really,
was
really
fun.
Yeah, that was great.
That first live pod, we were so nervous. I think myself and one other podcaster that I won't name, we had to drink a little bit more than I think we did. We had to take a break and sit on the stairs.
That's Jay. Like Jay does. No, I'm not going to talk about the drinking. Jay does,
but that's just Jay. I mean, Jay.
No, Jay's really good at those events. Like I'm horrible at those events. Like I feel like I just want to crawl into the corner. But Jay will like go out there and meet people, and I don't know. It's
I put on my politician hat where I'm walking around like shaking.
You're in your element.
Yeah.
Like
Jay is also like the one person that is such a radio person.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Jay could be a radio celebrity.
Definitely.
Yeah,
the ultimate.
I have the look for it. But the other thing is
The
like
look.
I grew up. It was a bad old joke. So the thing about it is I grew up listening to sports talk radio. Like my dad, like we listened to Al Ashback and Jim Traber way too regularly growing up, and so it was always one of the things. Like
beautiful.
if I was gonna choose a career that would have been more just for fun, then it would have been maybe something that is what I felt like I was either called to do or whatever.
Yeah,
it would have been more in this direction. And so it's been, for me, it's just been like it's kind of scratched that itch in a way that's provided opportunities and fruit and all of that in a way that I would have never imagined. It's insane to me that, number one, we have 1,000 episodes. Number two is that people listen. Like the first few times you run into people, and that's what was so shocking about our first live pod is we got together and we're like, we have no idea what to expect. Could be 20 people,
Or 5
could be
people
nobody.
coming. Yeah.
And next thing we know, we're out there. And this was right after Kevin Durant decided to go to the Warriors. And so we're all just heated. And there was 50 people, 60 people.
There were a lot.
No, more than that.
Was it out there? And it's just one of those things, like all these people meeting us and like, hey man, I've been listening for a while. And now it's like, and the hard part is I'm not going to know names of all of these people, but I recognize the faces of so many of our fans. And actually, like, I don't know if they would consider us friends necessarily, but I kind of feel like at least our Tulsa crew, you know, between Penny and the Smiths and Robbie, like they actually are kind of people that I would say are part of our life in some way.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would consider us friends, but I kind of consider them friends.
Robbie sent me a note on Instagram. He said that he has 2 good pod moments. He said Taylor and Luke doing Mary Kill for the Casper Ghosts and me walking out because I was so mad at you guys. And then your pod was the gateway for me to listen to podcasts. I didn't listen to them before because I didn't see the value, but your show changed that for me. So now I listen to many. And then he talks about your friendship, Taylor.
Robbie, grow up.
He's very grateful for you.
My favorite, if we're talking about favorite podcast moments,
Say it to my face, Robbie.
Legitimately, I wasn't on this podcast, but because Taylor and or Luke answered the question quicker than the time that was allotted, they had 30 seconds of blank space and just sang the Super Mario Brothers. It was, I like couldn't catch my breath laughing so hard.
So funny.
I'll just tell you something from our perspective. It was a dream come true for us.
Yeah.
We'd been waiting for that moment for a long time, and we did exactly what we had always hoped we could do.
It literally got there. You stumbled there through panic.
Yeah.
Is what happened.
It may seem like that from your perspective. I mean, we've been talking about doing that for a long time.
So there's just so much that I'm overwhelmed with the amount of messages and tweets and things that people have sent over. Really, I could not be more grateful for this podcast, for you guys, for everything that it's become. Like, it still just blows my mind. And I'm just grateful, man. Like, this is incredible that we get to do this.
Jeed and Bead, man.
I will say this though. Most of us, well, some of us have worked harder than others, but most of us have just been riding Andrew's coattails this entire time.
Dude,
Andrew has worked so hard this whole time. And even back in the day, like 2012, he was saying, I mean, yeah, this would be awesome if this could be my full-time job. And always saw it as that being a goal for himself. And I don't think the rest of us really thought of it like
it was always something that would just be a fun little side project. But if we early on in the podcast, Andrew, like we just were able to see your hustle is what grew us. Your hustle is what got us connected to the people that we got connected to. And so it's not in the least bit surprising. And I remember when you called me, because nobody knows this, nobody needs to know this, but Andrew had a couple job opportunities, like the Athletic, this one that he's in currently. And this was March 7th of 2020.
Just beginning of March, yeah.
And Andrew and I just kind of talked, and because he had an opportunity to do something that wouldn't have been this, and then an opportunity to do this. And it was so clear to me that, and I would have felt horrible if you got laid off at the pandemic. But
I know, I thought I was going to, man. I really did.
But it was one of those things where it was like, he was so clear, like, dude, this is what's going to drive your passion.
Yeah.
And I feel like even though we're 1,000 episodes in, and gosh, how many years are we doing? 2013. So
is this
almost
our
8 years?
8th year or 9th?
This is our 9th Thunder season.
Yeah. So our 9th Thunder season, like even in the midst of this, it really still feels like you're just starting to scratch the surface of what is ahead of you, because you went from producing to now you have, in my mind, which this is not a slam against anybody else as much as an affirmation.
Slam through.
I think you and Alex have, without a doubt, the best athletic NBA show of that collection, just because of your personalities and my preference probably. And then on top of that is, like, if you look at the Thunder games, and part of this is a war of attrition, you know, like
it is without a doubt.
Nobody else is. I mean, but who else is the most trusted Thunder voice that you know in the media? Like, it's Joe Masato.
There's nobody else.
But it's really,
everybody else that's tried, they've failed. because they don't have it.
No, but it is. It's just one of those things for me that's just it's humbling to be a part of this.
Yeah, you come at the Kings, you best not miss, you idiots.
The final boss is Barry Trammell.
Dude, that's so true.
He's Bowser.
And we also heard, I won't put a number out there, but we heard he makes a lot of money, and we're not close to that.
True.
But we know the amount of money, and it's a lot. It would shock you.
We've got the final boss here.
Hey, Alex, you remember the time that Andrew, somebody asked you on the pod the next time you're coming to Oklahoma City, and then you said, I'm actually looking at moving internationally. So have you found somewhere to go?
I mean, it seems like Mexico's the easiest place because you can get citizenship pretty easily, and apparently there's little enclaves of expats, and it's a popular place to go. I mean, when you think about places you want to move, Mexico maybe wouldn't be at the top of my list, but you start looking at how hard it is to move anywhere else, especially right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm actually moving overseas. I want to escape all of my problems, and that seems like a way to do it.
Well, people usually go to like Singapore or the Philippines if they're American and want to escape problems,
Yeah, gosh. Are there any cooler places? Everywhere is so hot.
A little bit says Thailand.
Yeah.
Hot, too hot.
Yeah, there's actually, and you probably have come across this, but there's like I don't even know how I found it, but there's a guy who does videos about random countries. Like, here's where you can go and retire, and here's where you can go. But there's one that's like the top 10 places that have a really easy immigration process.
Oh, well, I need to put him on my YouTube feed. I have so many new YouTubers I'm watching.
They say Sweden. I actually forgot what they said about Sweden.
Yeah.
So let's read some tweets. This is from at Dr. Clam Medicine Mollusk. Says it's small, but your live response to the full details of the Paul George new contract was a mix of pure joy and shock. 4 years. Yeah, that was incredible.
That was crazy.
Stephen Dolan says people used to be really mean about you on Daily Thunder Forum back when you guys first started.
Where are they now?
LOL. And I never defended you, but I often just thought, they're not so bad.
I remember. In fact, I remember a name. Were you guys on Daily Thunder like way back in the?
Yeah,
I was.
Because I remember a guy named Crow.
Yeah,
and he was like the most negative person on the Daily Thunder message boards, and he was early on the Jeff Green isn't really that good train, is what I remember. And because back then we were just like excited to have a team, and just like everyone was good, and that was honestly the only place to go and read like fan anything.
Yeah,
about
the
Thunder. Can't believe I still hope he's doing okay.
I still shout out to Crow. I have specific memories of like where I was when I was reading, comment sections of stuff and debates people were having.
Mm-hmm.
I never got in the comment section of Daily Thunder.
You didn't? It was real. It was good back in the day.
It was. It honestly was good back in the day.
Okay, good.
At Travis Funny says, "Hey Taylor, remember that time? Remember that stand-up comedy show I invited you to in Tulsa in February of 2020, and then the world shut down. Really sorry if that was the last thing that you and your wife did before the baby arrived."
It was. I think I was actually asking Kate about this last night. I think that was the last event that we went to before the world shut down. But it was fun. It was really fun. It was funny. Trav is funny.
Ryan Woods, who also was on the pod, shouts to Ryan. He
sent in my living room.
Sent us a video. He did. Oh
no!
Sorry, guys.
Oh jeez.
Okay.
That is incorrect. Yes, Patriot Day. Final answer. That is incorrect. I believe the title is Patriots Day. Final answer. That is correct.
It's Luke's laugh. That part.
So Al, walk us through what made you
hate me? Top five worst moment of my life.
Well, that was not our first episode. I mean, that was the 2016-2017 episode. So we were pretty deep in it at that point. And I felt like as the show went on, I was trying to be more stringent because we had some issues earlier in the episodes. And I knew that when I would say, like, is that your final answer? It was almost like a leading question. It was letting you know that, hey, what you just said actually isn't right.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to say anything. And in my head, I did this quick calculation, like, I guess I can't give it to him. 'Cause I did not, and I couldn't like ask you again. Like I couldn't say, could you say that again? Because that would let you know. So I just had to destroy your life.
And then Andrew, like I mean, condescendingly, I think it's Patriots.
I believe Patriots.
I thought he was going to give it to you.
I thought I was going to throw my computer out the window.
I mean, at that point, I was so sick of the L train, and then and then to hear him laugh like that, I was just it was so defeating.
Honestly, like and if you're listening to it, you could clearly tell like how defeated I was halfway through those when it was just like once we got through one section and Luke answered all 5 of them, and I'm like, what?
Luke was answering like actual basketball questions too.
The guy has watched as many Thunder games that I could count with my 2 hands in the last 5 years.
It's probably true. Fred Katz said that we need to play the entire Steven Adams Lou Dort recording, which we did. Big shouts to Fred. Fred one time, right after they signed Patrick Patterson, after the Paul George trade and all that, I was in the mountains in New Mexico and I was texting with Fred and I was like, I don't have any way to do a podcast. He's like, well, I'll just record it for you and then send it to you. And so I was on the phone outside of this cabin and he like recorded the whole thing and sent it, like packaged it and sent it to me. That was incredible. Let's see. Any and all KD rants is from at Sarah Lav. One of my favorite moments was on YouTube when Jay ripped off the top of a banana for his son, and Luke was absolutely horrified. Oh, it's so good. Everybody, lots of people mentioned the introduction to episode 369.
I listened to it this morning on the way here. It was good. I actually couldn't believe how good it was. I'm serious. All of it. Jay, you were in it. Do you remember this? Yes, no. You like got into it.
I'll try to listen.
Everybody go back and listen.
It was awesome. We were really, by the way, back then, Luke and I were willing to step over more lines than we are today.
Yeah, you got muted all the time.
Top Gamer 77. He says the Poku song episode was really fun. That was peak L-Man.
That was unbelievable work by L-Man.
Yeah, that was really good. Shannon Z. Ward, longtime listener, says chicken fried rice. Or we've made the.
That's another one of the podcasts I missed.
Yeah,
I missed it, and I came back, and I was like, this whole movement,
a whole economy around it.
Paul George chicken fried rice shirts.
So many good moments. All right, we'll end it there.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to just acknowledge. Obviously, this should go without stating, but we just want you to know that we understand that we don't do any of this if it wasn't for the fact that we had so many loyal people that are a part of what we're doing and listening to what we're doing. And I hope that if you're listening to this today, and this is a lot of content and a lot of the last, hour and a half of conversations, really more reflecting on where we've been so far, but we're not anywhere if it wasn't for the fact that you listen. And so we just want you to know how deeply appreciative we are that you support us, that you support the people, that you buy the shirts that we have, that you all are listening to this regularly. Even if you don't like Taylor and Luke, you still give it a shot. And we just are so appreciative of you. And so thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Thanks for being so loyal.
For real. Thank you.
Shouts to the haters. Big idiots. Go to hell.